everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole, and today we are here for the start of a weekly reading vlog, so let's get into it. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me while I prattle on about the books that I am going to be reading. So this is the start of a weekly reading vlog. So we've got a few books that I've got to get through this week. I have been getting through my Aurelian books, and I've read 4 out of the 6 so far, and you will see bits and pieces from those as the films go, as the films, gosh, I sound like I'm like 90. As the videos go up, you will get to see my thoughts on those books. Anyway, got me cardi on today, so it must be in 90, like the age bracket of being 90 or something like that. But anyway, I digress. So as I said, this is the start of a weekly reading vlog. It is Easter Monday, and so I've got a few books here that I'm going to try and get through this week. So I'm going to try and finish Maisie Dobbs. I really fell into this story, but then I put it down and I just got distracted by the other sparkly things that I had on my bookshelf. So yeah, I'm a little over halfway through now. So you can see there I'm on page 179. We are just so basically, I think I talked about this last week in the reading vlog, where I had just got to the part where we were learning about Maisie Dobbs and how she ended up where she is. So at the moment, where I'm at is we have learnt that she's gone off to service, and while she was in service, Lady Rowan has taken her under her wing and decided to essentially use her as a cause and educate her and get her a really good education. So she's gone off to Cambridge, and the war is happening in the background as well. And I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything like that, but there was a pivotal point in the book where that changed the direction of Maisie's life. And I'm getting the feeling, like reading along, and this might be slightly spoilerish, but she has these visions, so she's like a little bit clairvoyant in a way, and some of the things that she's had visions about, that's the way it's worded. I don't know if she's actually having, yeah, she is, because she said that she's seen the situation play out with one of the characters. So she is essentially having visions. She's not portrayed as a clairvoyant or a psychic or anything like that. She's just like getting these premonitions because she's in tune with herself, I guess. And yeah, so that sort of side of it is developing a bit. I mean, it's only the first book in it, and I looked it up. There's 17 books. So it's the first book, so I'm guessing that side of things will progress a little bit and whatnot. But at the moment, we're in the middle of the war. I think we're in 1916. And so that pivotal point changed her trajectory, and she has ended up in France during the war. So we just got to that part, and so she has just been given her orders at that point of where she's going to be going in France. So I'm going to hopefully finish that. And so if I finish it this week, you will see the wrap up for this. So I think I've talked about it in a couple of vlogs. Also this week I want to read, this is for Aurelian. So this will be the next one that I'm reading. I haven't started reading. I've just stuck a bookmark in it, which is Jodie Picoult's Mercy, and so I'm hoping to read that this week. And then I decided the other day that I want to pull books off, even if they're not on my TBR. I want to pull books off the bookshelves that I just got in that recent haul. Now this is out of that recent haul because it's got a green sticker on it. That was the secondhand book haul that I went to, and I'll link the video up down below, and you can go and check out all the books that I got. This was another one that I got, and the theme for that book haul was very much set in Australia and or Australian authors. So I just want to read more about my home country at this point. I'm just feeling that. That's sort of, I'm not necessarily a mood reader, but I'm in the mood for that, if that makes any sense. So I picked this one up. I got it for the grand total of $2. This is set in Darwin in 1942. It's historical fiction. And the author, Trent Dalton, actually, there is a little bit in the front here about him. If I can find it. The pages are not turning for me. Where is it? He writes for the Weekend Australian magazine and is a 2-time winner of the Walkley Walkley Award for Excellence in Journalism and a 4-time winner of the Kennedy Award for Excellence in New South Wales journalism, and 4-time winner of the National News Awards featuring Journalist of the Year. His debut novel, Boy Swallows Universe, in 2018 by HarperCollins, is critically acclaimed national bestseller and winner of the 2019 Indie Book of the Year Award, the Mudd Literary Prize, and the UTS Glenda Adams Award for New Writings in New South Wales at the 2019 New South Wales Premier Literary Award, and yeah, it just goes on. And he also won the Australian Book Industry Award in 2019 for that book as well. So, and he has been the Boy Swallows Universe has been published across 34 English language and translated territories. So I'm looking forward to reading this one as well. So wish me luck on that. And then I went to the library, as you would have seen in last week's vlog. I went to the library with a little M, and I picked up some books, which one I've already talked about, and these two are still, these don't have to be back until the 5th of May, so I've got some time, but I'm wanting to get into these as well. So they are the books that I am going to read for the week. This one has actually been on my radar for a while, because I actually had this on a wish list for Kindle. That I write down my wish list for Kindle, because otherwise I lose them. Stuff that really stands out to me. So The Women of Pearl Island, what holds you together can tear you apart is a little blurb on the back. It's a captivating new novel from the author, the Book of Hidden Wonders. Now, I read the Book of Hidden Wonders not last year, the year before, and I absolutely love that book. I think I've still got it. Wouldn't be on that shelf. It's inside, but it was just absolutely beautiful. And so when I seen this, I thought, I wouldn't mind to read that, because I really liked her writing and I loved her storytelling as well. And this one was published in 2021, so I'm looking forward to reading that. And The Furies, this is new to the South Burnett Library. It was on their new to the library shelf, and I don't even know when this was published, but it's on the new to the library shelf, so I'll give that a read. It's very rare that I can get those new to the library ones. This was published in 2019, and it's by Kate Lowe, called The Furies. So I'm hoping to get to that. I may not get these ones finished, but at least start them. All right, so I've prattled on enough about the books that I'm going to read. I'm hoping to get some B-roll and all that sort of stuff, and I hope that you enjoy this weekly reading vlog, and I will check in soon. So, just checking in. I just had a shower. Just got off Stormy Reed's her sprints for this morning, and I was also spending some time with Chatty this morning on sprints. But I managed to get Maisie Dobbs, the first book in a series of 17, and I'm about to order the second book because I want to know. I really enjoyed this book. It had a little bit of mystery. It's the first book in a series of 17. So we were learning a lot about Maisie Dobbs and her backstory, and how she was, she was destined for a life of service and stuff like that. But the person that she worked for took her in as a bit of a cause, and helped her get a Cambridge education. She went off to the First World War, and there was a love story, a blossoming love story in there, and what happened with that. There was a mystery, and it was really good because the book started out with her opening up her detective agency, her private investigating agency, and she got her first client, and he wanted her to look into what his wife was doing, and we learned that in the first chapter. And in the course of following the wife and finding out what she was up to, because every week she was going out and doing something, and he didn't know what she was doing, and he wanted to know. In the course of her finding that, she stumbled across another investigation, and the one thing was, it was a little bit convenient because Lady Rowan, who is her former employer, actually wanted her to look into something about her son as well. So it sort of fed into one another, but right in the middle of the book, we were in World War One, and there was a lot of stuff. I haven't read too much around World War One. I've read a lot of stuff around World War Two. Now, the ones that I've read around World War Two, there hasn't been much detail about what happened to the men when they come back, or even the women for that matter, when they came back from war and the consequences of that. This touched on that. Absolutely amazingly well written and well done. And like, it just got me thinking about, oh my gosh, you know, like, and how they dealt with it and all that sort of stuff, and what like, it was actually in more detail, and it even talked about the censorship and stuff like that, which I know that a lot of war stories have that usually added into it, because they didn't want the people back at home really knowing what was going on, how horrific it was, because that would have caused, you know, a little bit of unrest and all that sort of stuff with what do they call it, civil disobedience and stuff like that, you know, a revolt against the war. And so, yeah, so she, like, Jacqueline Winspear has really delved right into that era, and even after it and a little bit before it, and how Maisie ended up there and all that sort of stuff. Like, I've talked about, there was a turning point that had her land there, but I've actually given this a 4.5 star rating. I was really happy with how it ended. It's going to just continue on. I can already see that. Can you just read this standard line? Yeah, you could probably read this and be happy with just reading the one book, but I'm really keen to see where she goes. Now, I mentioned in my last one, like, there was mention of her having visions and stuff like that. It's not that she's psychic. She's very in tuned with her intuition, but she has, like, she sort of did see some sort of visions and stuff like that. They've not mentioned the word psychic, clairvoyant, or anything like that. They refer to it as intuition. You know, just her mind's eye. They refer to it a couple of times and whatnot. So I'm interested to see if they develop that part of the plot a little bit further in this series. So for the foreseeable future, as soon as I get my next one, I'll start it. But I'm going to order the next one today, which is book 2, and I think it's called Birds of a Feather. I think the second one is called. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you'll find out about it. But these are going to be my morning read for the foreseeable future. Most of these I haven't been able to find on audio on any of the platforms. I did find this one on audio, but it was abridged. And if I'm going to get an audio and pay $14 for an audio, I want the full book. I don't want half a book. So yeah, so that is Maisie Dobbs, book 1 done. So you will start to see more and more of these pop up on my reading vlogs and all the rest of it. But for now, I am being summoned to go and make some fried eggs and toast for little Em for lunch. So the next book that I'm starting is Mercy by Jodi Picoult. So I will check in for that shortly. Get in the car and go for a drive. I've got to go down the road and get some groceries and stuff like that. So I found Mercy by Jodi Picoult on audiobook on Script. So I am going to key that up. So while I'm doing the groceries, I can do a little bit of reading, and while I'm doing some driving. And then I'm going to come back and spend the afternoon reading this. I didn't see how long the audiobook is, but I think when I had a quick glance, it was only about 12 hours. It may be a bit less, but there's only let me just see, there's only just under 400 pages in this book. So basically, it's very bright out here today and very windy, so I'm hoping that you can hear me okay. Basically, it just says, what would you do for someone you love? Would you lie? Would you leave? Would you kill? And Jodi Picoult confronts these powerful issues in Mercy and following the path of two cousins driven to extreme by the power of love. So it sounds like a really good book. Anyway, I'm going to go off and do some shopping, and yeah, and then I will check in after I've read maybe 5 or 6 chapters. I'll check in and see how it's going. That should get me to about 50 pages, and I'll let you know whether I'm going to continue on with it or not. All right, I'll check in soon. Okay, doing a check-in. It's after 9 o'clock at night, and I have been just doing bits and pieces with Little M and whatnot, but I'm checking in for Jodi Picoult's Mercy. Now, I'm not too sure about this. Like, I'm listening to it on audio, and also I'm now reading along, like reading it, and I'm up to chapter 6, which is 100 pages, and so far we're following the story of Cam and Ali, and there's also the story of Jamie and Maggie. A little bit of a spoiler, it happens very, very at the beginning of the book. Now, Cam is the police chief, and Ali is his wife. Jamie has rocked up in the town, which he doesn't live in, but he's rocked up because he's related in some way to Cam, Scottish heritage and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of talk, like Gaelic speak and whatnot in this, dialect, sorry, is the word that I'm looking for, in this. And like, I'm getting very much, like, I feel like I'm getting a Outlander vibe, just mainly because of the names and all the rest of it. But anyway, Jamie, this was written in 1996, so this is an old book. This is almost 30 years old, like, what is it, 27 years old. So yeah, so this was written in 1996, and so Jamie has rocked up at the town where Cam is the police chief, and he is basically admitted to killing his wife. And then basically we are just finding out a little bit more here and there about what that story is about. And so we're following the two, at the moment, we're following those two plot lines. So, and Amy owns a flower store, and there's another character, Mia, that's in it. Like my granddaughter's name, like Mia. And yeah, and so yeah, there's some stuff going on. I don't really know. Like, I'm feeling a little bit confused at the moment because I'm not 100% sure where the storyline is going. This is the first time that I've read anything by Jodi Picoult. And I'm reading this author on a recommendation from a friend, Chrissy, Stitches and Reads on Instagram, and like where she's been trying to get me to read Jodi Picoult for a while, and I picked up a few of her books at Bookarama a couple of weeks ago. So, and this is also one that I'm reading for Aurelian. So, it was read a book recommended by a friend. I went with an author recommended by a friend. So, yeah, so it fit the prompt pretty good. But I'm still not 100% sure where the story is going to go, and I'm feeling a little bit confused about the Cam and Ali characters and the Mia character. I'm not sure where it's going to go. It's like over 400, or just under 400 pages, this one. I'm already at page 100. At this point in time, I don't really feel like I'm going to DNF it, and I usually know by the time I'm at chapter 6, 100 pages in. If I'm going to DNF it, it'll be at this point. I don't feel like I want to DNF it, but at the same time, I'm not 100% sure I care about the characters at this point. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time. I want to give it a fair crack. I may even just keep reading it for the heck of reading it, so I can make a fair judgment, and see if I want to revisit Jodi Picoult or not. But it is Chrissy Stitch's favourite author, so I'm willing to give it a go. And my daughter's also said that she read 19 Seconds. She said that was really good. What was the other one that she said that she tried to read but she hadn't finished, which I think it was My Sister's Keeper, which I also have that too. So, yeah, I will, and my daughter has 19 minutes, not 19 seconds, 19 minutes on her bookshelf. So next time I'm down there, I might grab that off there as well and give it a good go. And see where we end up with that. Hi everybody, it is the 14th of April and I'm checking in. I finally finished Mercy by Jodi Picoult. Now this one was one that I read off my shelf because it was just from that recent haul that I done. It is also one that I'm using for the Arilium Spring Equinox. I think I've only got one left to read on that now. I have to think about that anyway. So this was one of them, and it was for a book recommended by a friend was the prompt. Now, I didn't go for the book as such. I went for the author because my friend Chrissy from Chrissy Stitches and Reads over on Instagram, I think I got that right. I'm sorry, Chrissy, if I didn't. I'll have to double check that. Anyway, she has been trying to get me to read Jodi Picoult for quite some time. And not that I haven't wanted to or anything like that. I just haven't purchased any of her books or anything. And there's not many that are on Scribd in audio or anything like that. But anyway, I went to Bookarama and these were $2. I grabbed 4 and they were $2 each. And just behind me, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's probably down a little bit low. Down there is also another Jodi Picoult book. I believe that one is Chrissy's favourite one. And I'm reading that in August. She's picked my TBR for August, so I am reading a whole heap of books. So I wanted to get a little bit acquainted with Jodi Picoult before I started that. Now, this one, I'm not sure I should have started with this one. Maybe I should have taken my daughter's suggestion and started with 19 minutes, I think it was. So yeah, I didn't end up doing that. I went with this one because this is the one I found. Someone else recommended that I should have started with My Sister's Keeper as well, but then my daughter said that she didn't really like that one. She couldn't get into it. Anyway, I started with Mercy. It's a 3-star read for me. It's mainly because the topic in it, I don't like reading about it. There's not many things that I won't read, but some things just really get on my nerves and I don't really like it, and that is infidelity. Now, basically, when I checked in before, I said it was very reminiscent, like it had all the wording from, like, some of the Gaelic words and stuff like that, so it was sort of reminding me of Outlander. It's nothing like Outlander, let me just verify that right now. This is nothing like Outlander, okay? So basically, we've got Cam and Ali. Cam is the chief of police. No, he's the police chief in a small town, and I cannot remember the name of the town. Ali is his wife. And then we've got Jamie, so there's 2 storylines, and then we've got Jamie and Maggie. Now, the story starts out, and this is a slight spoiler, but it sets the premise for the book, and I sort of can't talk about the book without giving this away. And I think I may have, without looking, I may have already said this. It is following the story of Jamie and Maggie, and they come into the story in a big way in the beginning. So he drives into this town and basically gets out and confesses that he murdered his wife, Maggie, this is Jamie, to Cam, the police officer, the chief of police in that town, and he is also cousins with Jamie. So they're all sort of interconnected, and Cam is the reluctant leader of the clan and all that sort of stuff. It's set in Massachusetts. It's not set in Scotland or anywhere like that. So basically, that's how the story starts out, and then it just goes on from there. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of it or anything like that. It wasn't an exceptional story, but I wanted to I want to read the books in their entirety. I don't want to DNF them. If I was honest, I probably would have DNF'd this about halfway through. I just wasn't, and that is mainly because of the infidelity that was in it on Cam's part. Now, this young girl comes to work in the town, and anyway, there's a whole storyline of his infidelity there. And how it ended was a little bit soft in my, it wasn't I felt like it was a really soft ending, but thinking about it, I had to sort of sit on it for a little while, and thinking about it, it sort of ended in the way that it could only end. So while it was a soft end for me, it probably a really nice end for someone else. But I just wasn't really up with that, because in my head, he's just a cheating douchebag. No. I do not give cheating douchebags a time of day. Am I speaking from experience? Probably a little bit. Let's put it this way. I've not spoken to that person ever since. But anyway, there's no need for it. And so I don't like reading about it. It makes me angry and stuff like that. So this probably wasn't the best book to start with, but I still, taking that storyline out of it, I really enjoyed the storyline of Jamie killing his wife. And you find out that very, very early in the very first chapter, I think it is, or the second chapter, that she was dying from cancer. So it is talking about, is it right to take someone's life if they ask you to do that, if they're already going to be dying, and pretty soon. So that is the premise behind the book. All right, so as I said, I gave it 3 stars. I'm happy that I've read it. I've got a couple more Jodi Picoult ones that I'm going to be reading between now and August before I get to the one that is on my TBR for August. I know we are months out from, we're 4 months out, but we were on sprints one day, and I said, all right, well, you pick my books for me. So she's picked, I think there's 8 books that she's picked for me. I'll have to go in and check that. It's in Messenger. But one of them is Liz Moore, Long Bright River, and the other one is from Jodi Picoult, and that's called The Pact. So yeah, I'm leaving them till August, but I've got 3 other ones that I got from the Bookorama that I'm going to give a go. So 3 stars from me. It's a great storyline. Just the bit that I don't like is the cheating side of it and all the rest of it. But if you like that, Jodi Picoult, and you haven't read this one, then it's probably going to be for you. It just wasn't the best one for me to start on. All right, keep an eye out in future vlogs and whatnot when I'm reading other books by Jodi Picoult. So at the moment, I am moving on to Birds of a Feather for my morning read. But if I get through a few of them and I just want to take a break, I'll definitely pick up a Jodi Picoult and give that a read in the morning and get it done. It took me a little bit longer to read, and I will say, I think if I had have just read it, I might have liked it a little bit more. But because I went through both listening and also reading, but separately, not at the same time, I thought just jumping around was a little bit, and because I imagined things a little bit different than how the narrator was. That I'm done with that now. I can put that aside. And Savannah said that she wanted to read it because she likes Jodi Picoult as well, so she said she wanted to read it. Didn't think it was her bag, but anyway, it'll be there for us. So the next book that I'm going to be moving on to is called All Our Shimmering Skies by Trent Dalton, and this one is set in 1942 in Darwin. And if you remember from my book haul, I said that a lot of the books I got in that were for either set in Australia or by Australian authors. This guy is an Australian author, and it's also set in Darwin in 1942 at the height of the war. All right, so I will check in once I've read a few pages of that. I'm just checking in. I'm just doing a little bit of work around the house, and I've just come into my daughter's room to tidy up because we've just got a delivery of a couch. And basically this room is going to end up being a library now that she's moved out. So we've just got a little sofa bed for her that's just got delivered, and we're going to paint these god-awful walls and replace the curtains and do all the things. And we've picked out some colours, so that's the colour of the library is going to be, and all the rest of it. So that's going to be happening over the next couple of months. But anyway, I digress. I'm just checking in to let you know that I have started All the Shimmering Skies by Trent Dalton. And this is set in 1942 in Darwin, and we're following the story so far. I'm up to page 50. We're following the story of Molly Hook. I kept going to call her Holly, and she is the gravedigger's daughter. The first little bit of the story about her was quite heart-wrenching, and like in the first chapter, her mum is passing away, and so her mum is just giving her some final advice and all that sort of stuff. So it was a little bit and what one of the characters did was like, whoa, so out of left field. I was not expecting it. But anyway, we have now just moved on to the Japanese character in the book as well. So I believe that we end up following 3 people in this. So it is a razor-tongued, so we are following Molly Hook, and she is on a journey deep into the country to find a sorcerer who believes that put a curse on her family. And by her side, she has the most unlikely travelling companions. I do like a good travelling story, and to boot, it's throughout Australia, which is absolutely amazing. So we have Greta, a razor-tongued actress, and Yukio, a fallen Japanese fighter pilot. So a very unlikely trio. And I believe she's only... When we started the book, I think she was only 8 or 9 years old when we started. Maybe a bit younger, 7 maybe? I'm not too sure. But anyway, I just love this cover too. Look at all of that beautiful flowers on there. All Australian native flowers. So absolutely gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. We're just getting to know the characters at this point. So I'm going to leave it at that at this point. I am going to be heading down the park soon with Mia. And I'm going to take this along. I have it on audio from the library, which is great. So I'm going to be listening to the library edition of the audiobook, and also doing some cross-stitch because I am a little bit behind with my cross-stitch for the magazine that I put out. So yeah, I have to get stuck into that because I've got a photo shoot. It was supposed to be today, but it is now tomorrow. Am I on track for my books? I still have 2 more books that I wanted to read this week. I don't think I'm going to get them done because I'm traveling on Sunday, and then I've got to do my final things for the magazine on Saturday, and I want to wrap it up. So I think that this will be the last one, and I'll roll those over to next week because they aren't really on my TBR. They were just ones that I got off from the library, and I don't have them on audio either. And I haven't looked yet, so I might be able to find them on audio. I will let you know. So, all right, I'm going to get stuck into doing some more work for the magazine and also listening to a little bit of this. And the best part about it, this was also one that I just got recently in that book haul. All right, I'm out of here, and I will check in when I have finished the book and give you my final thoughts. Hi everybody, and welcome to Sunday morning. I have just finished All the Shimmering Skies by Trent Dalton. This was published in 2020, and yeah, I actually enjoyed this book a little bit. As you know, this year I'm trying to incorporate more Australian plots and or authors and or things about Australia in books, sort of. Like, yeah, it's a tentative goal, but it's sort of what I inadvertently have been doing. So anyway, I have finished reading this. It was different. Let's put it that way. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, but I thought I did enjoy it. So as I said, I think I said in the previous clip that we're following the story of, I need to look at the name because I try to change her name to Holly all the time, of Molly Hook, and she's the gravedigger's daughter. And when I left off last time, we were just learning about her, and we were just learning about the Japanese character that was coming into it, Yukio, and we've still, at that point, I still had another character to come into it, which was Greta, and she was the actress. Now, we know that we're going to be meeting these people from the synopsis on the back, and basically I'm pretty sure that I said, I haven't even looked at the footage, but I'm pretty sure I said that we were looking for a character they were going to end up meeting on the way for Molly to find this long coat Bob, who is an Aboriginal elder that she believes put a curse on her family. Now, this is all the Shimmering Skies is all about gold fever, in my opinion. So basically the Hook family, was it the Hook family? The Berry family, sorry. Many moons ago, the grandfather, I am not doing this very much justice because I'm forcing myself to try and remember names, and I'm to be quite honest, I suck at it. So I'm just going to skip that, and then maybe I can get a coherent thought together. All right, so Molly's grandfather, their last name was Berry, and basically many, many years ago, he went off into the bush and he come across a Longcoat Bob and his family, and how they talked about how the gold was not great and all the rest of it. And they had a stockpile of it, and anyway, he said to him, you know, take what you want and take what you can carry, or something along those lines, which was a phrase that he said. So anyway, Molly has got it in her head that this guy had actually cursed the family, because a series of unfortunate events happened to the family, and it's continued over into Molly's life, and Molly is determined to break that curse and all that sort of stuff. So we are in the height of the war as well, the Second World War. There is talk in this of the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and Yukio was part of that, and then he was also part of the bombing of Darwin. The bombing of Darwin and the bombing where the graveyard is, where Molly works, and that was a little bit jarring, to say the least, but this was the start of the adventure that Molly is going to go on, and Yukio will meet Molly, and Greta is also into it. Now, Greta is seeing her uncle, and her uncle is quite abusive, which you will learn very quickly in the book because of the way he treats Molly throughout the book. And so basically Molly heads off into the scrub looking for Longcoat Bob, and that's where, as I said, where her adventure starts to unfold. So she believes in sky gifts, and she talks to the sky. There's the night sky, the day sky, and there's a lot of conversation between Molly and the sky. And then throughout the book, some of the chapters are it's broken up into Sky Gift 1, Sky Gift 2, Sky Gift 3, and so forth and so on. So and everything sort of revolves around Molly talking to the sky and trying to interpret her place in the world, is how I felt. Like it was teaching her to trust her intuition, to all that sort of stuff as well. Like, that's the feeling that I got from it when I was reading it. There was a couple of times that I had to go back and re-listen to some stuff and whatnot, but yeah, there were certain characters that they met along the way that weren't so nice, and then some that were a little bit nicer, and then some that turned out to just be wolves in sheep clothing. There was talk of lots of different things about Australia, and a lot of people probably not knowing the slang and all that sort of stuff, they wouldn't know what it was, but Molly tries to explain it, and that's how the Japanese character is pulled into the into the story a little bit more, them trying to explain what certain things are, what we say here that we see as common language, and whatnot. Now, there are some problematic, considering that this was published in 2020, I was really surprised that there were 2 words in here that But in saying that, they were very much part of the vernacular of 1942. So I understand why they're in there. I was surprised to see them, but I understand why they were in there. One is the word that older Australians use to describe Aboriginal people. That starts with C. And the other one is what a lot of people around the world call Japanese people in 1942. So I'm going to leave it at that because I do not want to repeat those words. I do not want to facilitate anything like that on my channel. And so, yeah, so I was quite surprised that they were in this book, considering this was published in 2020, but not so surprised because of the time that it was written in. So those two particular words to describe two different races of people were very much part of the vernacular back then. So, and in a lot of ways are still part of some people's vernacular today, which is very unfortunate. But other than that, and it was only it was just a little bit of a shock. That's all. I wasn't expecting them. But it was really well done. And as I said, I listened to this and also read it. The audiobook is well done as well. There is some repetitive bits in it, so some people may find that a little bit jarring as well. But it is to highlight her listening to the sky and making choices, and it'll go run grave digger girl, run grave digger girl. I don't even know how the narrator did it, because and then there were just situations, or dig Molly dig, or the little grave digger girl will be repeated throughout it, but it wasn't so overdone that it became annoying. It was just something that, if you don't like things, like one of my pet peeves is to repeat myself all the time or hear things constantly repeated in real life and in books. But it wasn't offensive in this book. It actually added to the story. So if you're that sort of person, just be aware that is in this. I don't even know if this book is on anybody's radar. It was just one that I picked up at that secondhand book haul, and I'm glad that I did, because I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Will I gravitate to something else that Trent Dalton writes? Probably not, because, well, it'll depend. I would probably, in this case, read the synopsis and see if it's a story that I would like to read. I don't think he's a bad author, and I don't think his writing is terrible or anything like that. I just don't think his style of writing is for me, but then I don't really know either. Does that make any sense? When you read a book and you're just not 100% sure, I think with this one, and most of you already know, I don't actually read synopsises. Is that a word? Yes, I think it is. Because I don't want the book to be given away or anything like that. Occasionally I will, especially with a new author, just to see what sort of stuff that they write. I might pick up 2 or 3 of their books. But in this case, I didn't have that opportunity. I believe he's got another one out, and I did see, when I was in bookshop, I did see one by him. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I think I would have to actually pick it up and actually see what it was about, if it was going to be historical fiction or not. And historical fiction is my jam, so I really do like reading historical fiction, so that's why I wasn't affronted by this or anything like that. And I was surprised though by those words, because they're not words that I've actually seen a lot of in books that I've read that are historical fiction. It's like the authors have deliberately chose not to have those words in their books, which is great, because if they're not constantly being read, they're not constantly in the front of people's psyche. So that's what surprised me about it. But anyway, I've given this a 3-star read. It's not, in my opinion, an exceptional book for me, but for someone else it might be. And since I had a quick look, and it's very much, a lot of people have given it anywhere from a 3 to a 5-star. There's been a couple of 2 stars, but very few and far between. Most of the people have received this book well, and enjoyed what they read, and said similar things to what I have said as well. It's not something that I would normally read, and I'm giving it 3 stars or something like that. Although this is historical fiction, it is something that I would read. It's just not an exceptional book to me, but it's still an enjoyable read, and I think a lot of you that read historical fiction would really like that. And if if you wanted to incorporate more Australian plot lines and Australian authors, then Trent Dalton would be a good book to add into your repertoire. But that is all the Shimmering Skies. Now, as I said, I am wrapping up this weekly vlog, and I'm pretty sure at the beginning of it I said that I was going to be also reading these 2 library books, which is The Furies by Kate Lowe and The Woman of Pearl Island by Polly Crosby. Now, I did not get to these at all. I had Little Em here still. And she's going home today, so I'm thinking that I'm going to hold these books over. These aren't due back to the library until the 5th of May. I do have a couple of other books that I do need to get started, so I'm going to push them back a little bit. I still have not started The Orphan Sky. I need to get onto that. It is on my TBR for the month of April, and also I have my last Aurelium book to read, which I don't technically have to get them read until, like, I don't have to worry about passing this class until August rolls around, but I'd like to just knock them over because next month I have a few, I'm doing my Kindle Unlimited list again, because I did that last May, so I've got a ton of books on there that I've been putting on there and I've been putting off reading, so I'm going to be reading them again, so I'm going to have a massive month of May. So I want to get this started. If I get this finished this month, I'll be pretty happy, but the book has, I'm pretty sure this one has, let me just have a look, it has 433 pages in it, and the lettering is quite small, so I don't know whether I'm going to get that finished or not. And I haven't yet started Anna Karenina, so I'm going to be starting that this coming week as well. So for last week's reading vlog, The Furies and the Woman of Pearl Island have been knocked off the TBR for last week, and they'll get pushed to the end. As I said, I've got to the 5th of May to read them. I will definitely get them finished, hopefully by then. I might have to renew one, but I'll definitely get one finished by the end of the year, end of the month. So this week I'm going to be starting this one, and I'm going to be starting this one, and I'm going to read the first 100 pages of Anna Karenina. So I will check in with a new reading vlog for that, but that's a wrap on this one. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope that you have enjoyed this reading vlog of what I've read this week. That is pretty much it's a normal week for me. It's probably a little bit lighter. A lot of time I can get a couple of audio books in and also 2 physical books in. I have had some questions from different types of people in different scenarios and all the rest of it in real life as well. How is it possible that you read all these books? They're quite intrigued now, like, how many books have you read now? Like, I'll get messages from friends and all the rest of it. To answer those questions, for those that might be wondering how I get to read so much, is I read a lot first thing in the morning. I wake up quite early. I have on average between 5 and 7 hours sleep a day, and a nap in the afternoon, a siesta as I like to call it, and at night after I can't cross stitch anymore in the afternoons or whatever, I just, every waking moment has something crammed into it. Does that make it sad? I don't know, but anyway, does it make my life sad? I don't think so. I do a lot of stuff, especially Monday to Friday. My week is very structured, so basically on average I get about 4 to 5 hours of reading a day, and I read pretty quickly anyway. So once I get into it, in the morning I read physically, I read a lot quicker. At night, not so much. So that's usually when I do my audiobooks and stuff like that. But generally in the morning I can get, in a couple of hours, I can generally get anywhere from 80 to 120 pages read, depending on the book. But yeah, so that, hopefully that answers your question. But anyway, as I said, this coming week I have another reading vlog starting. I also have the quarter year crisis tag coming out. I haven't read any classics. I'm actually a little bit behind on my classics. Because I'm reading a lot of them serialized at the moment, I haven't read any short ones, so I'm going to have a look on my shelf and see if I can't find some short ones to slot in. Those ones I always do by audio and also physical reading, and so I'm going to look for some short classics. I do have The Great Gatsby up there. I also have Catcher in the Rye, which I've not read. I've read The Great Gatsby, but I want to revisit it because I don't think I fully took it in when I first read it. So there's some of the things that I will be doing shortly. Hopefully you'll get to see them and you'll get to see my take on it. And I'm also mixing up my I am doing this in alphabetical order at the moment, which seems to be putting a little bit of a roadblock in front of me, but I think that I'm just going to get into it and just start getting stuck into them and try and get a book a week done for the Read Around the World Challenge. Now, there's 197 countries on my list, and so I'm going to be doing it for a while, but I actually want to start incorporating some of the food, the tourist destinations, what the country's about, and all that sort of stuff in those vlogs. So that's why I've had to take a step back from it, because I'm restructuring that vlog style. Well, I'm going from, I want to take it from just a review to a sort of vlog style one, so you'll have to keep in tune for that. All right, I'm just going to stop waffling. Obviously, I had a lot to say this morning when I've woken up. I'm going to stop waffling and get on with the rest of my day, which is basically me driving for 6 hours today. Well, actually, I'm not driving. I'm driving the first leg of 3 hours, dropping Mia off, and then Neroli is going to drive me home. So, yeah. It's been a long 2 weeks, and tomorrow, which is Monday, I'm going to take the day to recover. I still have to work, but I'm going to take it slow and recover and try and get my house back into order and all the rest of it. But that is it from me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I do hope that you are getting lots of reading in, and as always, keep turning those pages, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.